At shipping, Apple is out with a new one. The latest device features a faster processor and AI features. The new iPad Air will be available next week, starting at just under $600.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah. Belle, you missed it last night. Lady comes up to me, very nice lady. Says, what is that noise that opens up your show? What are those people screaming? Who are those people?
Really?
That's the thunder from down under.
I said,
Must have been a
it's a Starlight band.
Starland vocal band. It's their other hit.
Afternoon Delight.
That's right. I was like, what? Are you being serious right now? She was. And I said, it's a good band by the name of AC/DC. She goes, oh, I've heard of them.
She's heard of them.
Yeah.
She goes, apparently hasn't heard them.
What are they saying? I said, they're saying thunderstruck. Thunderstruck. She's like, okay.
Did she start arguing the physics of lightning is what strikes you and thunder is what you hear?
No, but she was very, I just want to say everybody last night was awesome. And you guys were great to Belle for not showing up. We had a good time.
Did.
Mr. Bounces early. What'd you think of the food there, brother?
Loved it. I loved that chicken.
I was going to tell you guys this. Nashville Palace, you go to a buffet, you're never really sure how these things are going to turn out. You think, biscuits, amazing.
Yes.
The chicken, absolutely moist and perfect. The pork was incredible. The barbecue pork, the barbecue sauce was awesome. The macaroni and cheese is incredible. There were some green things there. I think those were green beans.
Yeah. See, what I did is I took the biscuits, opened them up, then I put the mac and cheese on the biscuits, and then I put the green beans with all the juice on top of the mac and cheese and the biscuits.
Man.
And I sopped it up with the chicken.
Did you like it?
That guy had a plan.
He did.
I freaking loved it.
You know what? It was, again, I was absolutely loving it. The people were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The food was awesome. I'll be honest. You guys heard me. I'm one of these people. I'm a less is more kind of cat. I don't need 2 hours of speech. When I hear all these old dictators back in the day that would speak for 6 or 8 hours, I thought, oh, my God. I'd be like, I'm out. Whatever you guys need to do to me, just do it. But it was a good speech. It was strong. It was positive. 76% of people said it was CBS.
Yeah.
Now, it's slanted. It's mostly Republicans because when you're in power, your people tune in.
Sure.
Except, especially something like this. But I'm maybe an hour guy. 45 is about good, right? Hit the meat and bounce. You don't want to leave them, it's like Bruce Springsteen. I don't need 3 hours of your music.
No.
I don't need you to go super deep on your fourth album, that the last track that nobody's ever heard, but you really love it. You just wrote it about your pet. I don't need that. I don't want that. Just give me the meat and I'll bounce. But it was a great night. And I want to thank everybody for coming up to me. Even some of you are coming up to me. You're like, look, I've given you a chance. You look different in person. I'm like, thank you.
I've given you a chance.
So I want to see if you're going to gel with us. I said, look, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. I said, I'm trying to expand. We're trying to have fun here. We're not just one trick pony, okay? We do all kinds of things. We talk about all kinds of stuff. And we will talk about the human cannonball later because it is absolutely worth it. Just because who does this for a living? Like, how did you get to that? But first, we turn our eyes not to Trump's speech. I'm not going to hit it too much. You've heard it all day. You've probably listened to it. I'm going to turn to the reaction of the Democrats. And the big reaction of, and we're going to get to a little bit later, of the shameful way that MSNBC acted and the Democrats acted when it came to young DJ, the kid who wanted to be a cop, got made a, Secret Service. It was awesome. They came to disrupt. That was their big thing. They didn't know if they were going to, if they weren't going to. They put up that stupid video yesterday where everybody read the same damn thing, which was awful. You failed. And you looked like clowns. Everybody thinks you're clowns. I don't know if you get that. They think you are a laughingstock. Nobody at all that I know, even hardcore Democrats that I talk to, think there is anything redeeming about you. One of my buddies who is super left texted me, DM'd me last night, said, be honest with you, man. He goes, this is the party of mean. This is the party of ridiculous. I don't know what they were thinking. I said, I couldn't tell you what they were thinking either. Everybody's calling them out, as they should. As they absolutely should. This is Rachel Bade. She is a Politico reporter who was spot on right after it. And she has a lot of followers. She's she works for Politico. She's a little mover shaker in the politics world. And she just thinks, what a joke.
My primary takeaway was that Democrats stole the show, but not necessarily in a good way for the party. Look, I think there's a reason that Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told his members yesterday to be on their best behavior, not to be protesting, not to draw attention away. And they didn't listen. They made themselves the story. They heckled. They had signs. They walked out. It's interesting because as one White House official told our colleague Dasha Burns last night, they looked like petulant children. And that became the story instead of what Donald Trump was talking about. And he was really leaning into some controversial things, right? So if they let him sort of stay in the spotlight, it perhaps could have been better for them. But look, the base is angry. They want to see people reacting to Donald Trump. And so, Democrats sort of did what the base wanted.
No, not the base. The extremes in the online world. They want that pushback, that resist, that whole 9 yards. Where, by the way, there's never a Saturday where you're not out resisting something. Even if you've got stuff going your way, these people resist, we much. This was a joke. And Al Green was, first of all, phenomenal singer. We all just, we all like a little Al Green.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Remove him from the chamber. It was one after another of ridiculousness. The bingo cards. Oh, my Lord, the bingo cards. You name it, they were ridiculous in the way they acted. Petulant children. They don't know what to do. They have zero understanding of how America works at this point in time because they live in a world of academia and bad choices. Normally, it's like vodka and bad choices, Jägermeister and bad choices. This is ridiculous amounts of academic insanity with progressive, insane ideas that could only come out of academia. And they follow it. They follow it. And they pay the price for it. They don't understand how to even engage in a conversation with the average person because they've made everything about race and gender and intersectionality and lunacy. And they don't understand. So they're the kind of, you're sitting there having a battle with them where you're making fun of each other and they keep going, well, yeah, you're a jerk. Like that's all they know how to do. Nothing else. Jake Tapper even just went like, really?
It is, I have to say, you can really sense, John King, you can really sense Republicans with a pep in their step and Democrats rather demoralized. I mean, understandably so, given the fact that Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, not to mention a conservative lean on the U.S. Supreme Court. But beyond that, even when Republicans are out of power, you sense like an energy quite often when Democrats are controlling things. The Democrats, not to be cliche about it, but they are in disarray. They do not know how to be the opposition force.
They don't. They have no idea because they have no ideas. You'll have no idea when you have no ideas. Fail to plan, plan to fail. You have nobody leading you. You know who the most prominent Democrat is right now? Stephen A. Smith. He may be it. And he doesn't want anything to do with politics in the long run. Because they keep asking, will you run? Will you run? He doesn't think, he doesn't want any part of it. You'd have to make him a bigger, better offer. And the people that are the ones that may be able to do something, you guys ignore, which is why America leaves. Which is why America say, I've had enough of you. Which is why America goes, you know what? I'll hold my nose if I don't like Trump. Anything better than this. It is embarrassing to watch. It was. And my God, I'm sitting there watching. These people are holding up bingo cards. What is wrong with you? How old are you? But what they did to that kid last night, we're going to get into it in a little bit. And the way that they acted was not good. It's not a good look for America. But then you top that off with what Nicole Wallace said afterwards, which to me was not only asinine, it was everything that is wrong with the Democrat Party. All of Trump's ideas could be great or bad. It doesn't matter. You can't stand them. And even if they're the worst ideas in history, you guys couldn't capitalize on them. And if I'm the Republicans, just keep doing what you're doing. Make sure that economy's good, but just keep doing what you're doing. Because at this rate, the Green Party's not too far away. Oh, fun night. So how'd you do last night, Bill? I mean, I didn't see you much there. I was looking for you.
I was watching. I saw you guys trashing me on.
We did not. We did not trash you.
Well, you're right. Dan was the only one who trashed me.
Yeah, Dan
but
just
then
said
he
you would
followed it up
leave
with
the
"I love you,
lights."
Belle," which I know isn't true.
You would leave and leave the lights on. You wouldn't even turn the lights on.
I would turn the lights off. Daniel,
you'd unplug it and just leave.
Yeah.
That's the way you made it sound. Is you were just going to unplug it and leave.
cut the cord.
But a lot of you out there last night, thanks so much for hanging out. We had a great time, and I look forward to another one where there is less rain. Speaking of rain, Ken, do we have a lot coming up? Are we going to have any?
It looks like you could spit here and there, Brother Chad, but I don't think it's going to be anything too serious out there.
All right, this is going to be cool. We got Ken's update coming up a little bit. A lot of stuff still to get to today. More on the insanity of last night. Some other fun stuff as well. We're not just going to saddle you with just 24/7 politics. We're going to make it, we're opening it up to everybody today, all right? Reach out to us, text the program, hit us up across all of our social media. That includes Twitch. That includes
YouTube, X, and Facebook.
YouTube X. I think there's Carrier Pigeon that's got one of our shows on. So make sure that you subscribe that one too. That's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Omaha Steaks, 50% off site-wide right now. And that is awesome. So you go to omahasteaks.com, and while everything else is rising in price, they cut out the middleman. There is nothing to worry about. You go to them directly at omahasteaks.com. You're saving big. They've got so many things. You can build your own assortment. They got value assortments. And on top of that, and this is what I love, you're going to get an extra $30 off at checkout when you use my code Benson. 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. If you want only chicken breast, if you want only burgers, if you want only dogs, or if you want an assortment of everything, yes, they've got surf and turf. They've just got the surf of the surf and turf, and they've got the turf, of course. 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. It is a semi-annual sale. It is going on now, and now's your chance to jump at it and grab it and save big. 50% off, and use my code Benson and get an extra $30 off at checkout. omahasteaks.com, code Benson.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Looks like the White House is rejecting an Arab plan for rebuilding Gaza. We've got that and other top stories coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Not enough casinos. Not enough casinos. We need more casinos.
We need hotels with pools.
I see no golf courses. Where's the jet skis?
The likes of which nobody's ever seen.
Biggest, greatest ever. Greatest. It's fantastic. The House has some visitors today. That's a place they were last night. And they've got these mayors from cities that are blue. And these mayors from cities that are blue are there because they're sanctuary cities, and they're telling everybody, hey, we know you're here legally, but this is your home. I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
You're not.
Michelle Wu.
You belong here. This is your home. Boston es tu hogar. Boston, 这里卡有，这是你的家. This is our city. We are the safest major city in the nation because we are safe for everyone.
There you go. Yeah, but you're not supposed to be here. Again, it's not whether or not you're safe. I'm sure you are. I mean, even Chicago, for those of you guys who think Chicago's awful, it is about an 8 to 10 square block area of Chicago that you probably don't want to roam around. And the rest of Chicago is wonderful.
That's probably the area where police stopped responding.
Yes, that's Cabrini Green, the old Cabrini Green, where Candyman was. That's the place. It's it's not great, right? It could be a war zone, but the rest, you get outside, the rest of Chicago's fine. It's one of the safer cities in the country. I think one of the safer cities in the world. I know but there's an area where they've just we give up.
Well, and then Jussie Smollett, he ran into those Trump supporters in the middle of the night going to Subway sandwich.
You know how good those guys were as actors? Because they were like skinny white guys with red hats, and then they were giant black Nigerian bodybuilders. Do you know how hard it is to get into a character like that?
Whew, man.
I am the captain now. Just want to let you guys know that. More from the magic that is the House.
This federal administration is making hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing residents afraid to live their lives.
Afraid? Are they? Everybody who comes here, they know, right? Like at some point in time, it could happen. They know. Now, is it likely to happen? No different than, going in the ocean with a shark. You know when you're in the ocean or you're in the woods, it's probably not going to happen. But I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It could happen. That's it. Eric Adams is there because he's got to earn his money. And that means, that's not very nice yet. Well, that means because of the whole thing where they're like, hey, we know you've done some stuff that's probably not legal, but I need you here as a voice of reason for the rest of the Democrats when it comes to immigration.
I must create an atmosphere that allows every law-abiding resident, documented or not, to access vital services without fear of being turned over to federal authorities.
And this is where the Democrats, again, jack the pooch. Opportunities in front of you. Easy and simple. Let's work with people when we've got really bad criminals, people that we know are actively are gangsters. They've been arrested on numerous occasions, maybe even have some convictions. Let's work and make sure that we get them out of our country. That's it. We're going to do that. And guess what happens? They focus on those, and those people that are here illegally, that, yeah, they've broken the law. It's a misdemeanor. It's a civil fine. You figure out what to do with them later, but you get the worst first, which should be the goal. Like, that should be the goal. And that should be an easy goal. The fact that we're working against our own best interest based on insane ideas from people who are, to this day, I still think they're hoping to build an underclass of people that will always be essentially subservient to them when it comes to their votes. I will give you my vote. But you're finding out that that's not true because a lot of people come from places where what the Democrats offer, they've escaped from, and they don't want any part of it. They don't. By the way, I think the mayor, did you see? Now, I'm double, triple checking this. I heard the mayor of Denver, who's also there, supposedly spent $1 million or $2 million in trying to beef up the defense of all of this stuff, like building a defense team, essentially. You're going to the House to answer questions. I don't think you need to spend $2 million. Bell and I could have sold that to you for $100,000.
I'd have done it for 50.
50. There you go. Bell's not good at negotiating, but you know what? We're here. It's early. A lot of stuff.
Found money. Found money.
You're right. A lot of stuff still to get to today, including we're going to talk about it next. Last night should have been something where, as a nation, and many of you did, you embraced the situation. You pray about the person in the situation, and you rally behind that person. But because of the person that was apparently delivering the great message to everybody about this person, well, you couldn't do that. And it's insane. We'll talk about that straight ahead. A bunch of other stuff. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
$12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Overnight, those storms helped to dampen the wildfires that forced some evacuations in East Tennessee, specifically Monroe County, where 14 families had to leave their homes. No reports of any injuries over there in those fires, and, of course, these storms helping firefighters get them under control. The suspected mastermind of the Abbey Gate suicide bombing that killed 13 U.S. service members and 160 civilians as the U.S. was withdrawing from Afghanistan in 2021 is under arrest and could appear in a U.S. court as soon as today. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says the Trump administration did in 2 months what the Biden administration couldn't in 3 years.
The president was emotional, but he was thrilled to be able to call those families and say this monster is going to be brought to justice.
Mohammed Sharif Ullah allegedly admitted to the FBI his role in the terror attack, stating he conducted surveillance so that he could prepare the suicide bomber and take him to the target area. Speaking of terror, Jordana Miller in Jerusalem says the White House has rejected the Arab League's plan for Gaza.
The White House rejecting a proposal by Arab leaders to rebuild Gaza and sideline Hamas. That just hours after it was announced from Cairo. Brian Hughes, the spokesman for the National Security Council, said the Arab League plan fails to address that Gaza is, quote, currently uninhabitable. That's raising fears here in the region that President Trump still aims to displace 2 million Palestinians from Gaza and lead rebuilding plans.
I'm seeing reports the U.S. has paused sharing intelligence with Ukraine while this standoff continues to get Ukraine to agree to a peace deal to end the war with Russia. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee Plumbing, HVAC. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, you have an issue with your HVAC. Who are you going to call? Busy Bee, of course, silly. And right now what you're going to do is make sure you take down this number, but join the famous Beehive Club. If you haven't, you need to. Now you're going to save. You're going to be put at the top of the list, especially in times of need because, you know, stuff usually breaks when it's inconvenient for everybody. And then you get stacked up, and you don't want to be that. You want to be at the front of the line. That's what Busy Bee offers you. Right now, you can get HVAC, brand new one, and they're going to give you a free air duct cleaning with the purchase of one. Top of that, this is what's great. Let's say you buy one of their packages, right? So they've got the, several different packages. You buy the middle package, they're going to give you the deluxe, the super package as an upgrade for free. Whether you need your pipes looked at, no matter what it is, maybe it's your main line, right? You need the camera put down there to see if you got some issues. I got some issues here? Or maybe you just need a quick cleaning. They'll come out. They'll take care of you. It is awesome what they can do for you. Write the number down. Join the famous Beehive Club now. Busy Bee, Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 775-7833. 775-7833 or visit busybhvac.com. I am a father. I'm a husband and father first and foremost. I'm a Christian. Husband, father. Everything else is always secondary. And last night, I watched something that I thought was both amazing and sad. Something that should not have been political. And yet ended up being political. Trump said, you guys will never get up for anything I do. You guys will never stand up for anything, whatever. Okay, that's modern politics. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it. But it wasn't about Trump. It was about a young boy. 13-year-old kid. 13 years old. Got cancer. Wearing his little uniform. Because he wants to be a cop. Before being the guest, they had a little video with him in the White House. He kind of explained his story. His name's DJ.
What you want to know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up. And then my dad was calling my name. And I started going to the slow thing. And he said, stop playing with me. And I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow. And then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, nah, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight. Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
And he was there. And while he's there, you're there. It's the president. You're invited to this. It's the State of the Union, not State of the Union. It's a big deal, right? Joint session of Congress. They're all there. Trump calls him out.
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer.
That's his dream. That's his goal in life, is to become a cop.
But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago.
6 years. As a father, I could not imagine that. I couldn't. I couldn't imagine that. You're told it's over. It's done. It's not going to happen. Your child is going to be gone. You're battling terminal cancer. 5 months, maybe 6. Years on, he's still here, and he loves the police. He, if I'm correct, about 800 different police forces and sheriffs, constables, and stuff across the country have given him opportunities to do something, which is phenomenal.
Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Now, if you didn't see it, the little boy, his dad holds him up. They give him one of those cool little wallets, the flip wallets, that's got all the, the stuff in it. It's got the little badge and the whole 9 yards. The look on his face when Trump said that, you can't replicate that. There were people, there was barely a dry eye in the Palestine side watching this thing with us. It was incredible. It was amazing. And then Curran hands him his card. His dad's holding him up, and he reaches over, and this is the Secret Service director, and he gives him a huge hug. Few Democrats standing up, most of them not. What the hell's wrong with you people? This is not about Donald Trump. I don't care if you hate him. Knock yourself out. This was about the respect for a little boy who is suffering with something that, by the grace of God, go all of us, that we never had to suffer with, and we never had to have our children suffer with. 13 surgeries. 13. He said 13 different times, because they've worked on his brain, his personality has changed 13 different times, but he's never stopped the love for the country, the love for police. 13 times. You couldn't get off your ass? I would have cheered him. Even if, I don't care if it was Biden, I was there, and that was somebody he brought, I would have cheered him, because it's not about Joe Biden. It wasn't about the Democrats. It's not about the Republicans. It's about the little 13-year-old and his family who have struggled. It's about showing, hey, this is really what America's about. If there's one thing we can agree on, we love the kids and we don't want anybody to suffer. If there's one thing we can agree about, it is that. And yet you couldn't get off your ass. And then afterwards, Nicole Wallace, who is absolutely the worst of the worst. By the way, you lied to America about Iraq over and over and over again. You did the bidding of the Bushes over and over and over again. And you had the audacity to criticize Trump, who wants to get out of wars and all of this stuff. And you said this afterwards. You said it to the point where even Rachel Maddow gave you the look that Mike Myers gave to Kanye when you said this.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do.
I let myself feel joy. That's what you should feel. You should feel hope. You should feel joy. Not because Donald Trump may deliver something to you that you don't want, even though you may want it. But yeah, it's Donald Trump, so you don't want to take it. No. You should feel it, because that little kid last night, the look on his face is pure joy. Shock. He's overcome with emotion. That's the look on his face. It's incredible. And you're like, I almost let myself feel joy. If you don't feel joy, it's because you're not human. If you don't feel something, it's because you are not human.
Maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he had.
Maybe when you have childhood cancer. But she's getting to the point now. So get ready for this, guys. Because if you thought that was bad, it's about to go to a whole new level of wacky.
A long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
You are a clown. You're a clown. And if I was running MSNBC, I would have called down and said, you need to take her off the air. Tell her this is not about that. Stop making this about politics. This was a human moment. You didn't even need to speak the language. You could be in a different country far away and saw that and go, that's a human moment. That's a human moment. And instead, you were a clown show. It was, this is why. This right here is exactly why. You want to know why you guys are rudderless? This is it. Everything comes back to Trump. Everything does. What happens when he's gone? Because he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone. What happens then? What happens then when you have to face a J.D. Vance that's not quite as polarizing in your mind, who's quick on his feet and maybe not as funny, but brilliant? What happens when you have to face people that aren't as polarizing? You guys can't even, you are so awful. And you make everything about one single person. And it is a joke. Stuff I really want to say I can't because we would be fired. Bell would be, not me. It was embarrassing. And like I said, I looked over at like Rachel's like, oh, I don't know if I'd have said that. I was like, even for her, that's like, that's a little kid. We're not. I hope one day that he's not going to be on his day. Well, first of all, he's 13. Let's just say he does become a Secret Service officer. Unless Trump's getting extra time to be the president of the United States, which is what the Democrats already think, he's only 13. It is mind-boggling. How do these people have jobs? It is phenomenal. I will post that. People are asking the question, where do you get that? Yes, I see somebody wrote the C word on there. I'm not going to say that. Again, sick and evil. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Project 2025. That is also never leaving. It's a boogeyman because you've got nothing to say. You've got nothing to offer. You've got nothing out there that is worth the damn. And you know what? Matt and I were chatting last night after his haircut, which, you saw the hair there, Belle. You and I were sitting there.
We call that a trim, not a cut.
Is that the best way? It was something.
What did he get cut off? Like an inch?
2 inches from what I hear.
Right.
Already got 2 inches cut off, and then he shaved the sides. I mean, I thought it looked okay, but I think he was a little bit more attached to the hair.
I think he's gotten that way. And I was watching on Super Talk TV last night at home on my desk while I was eating my steak dinner, and
that's very braggadocious.
Everybody was looking at it going, he hasn't cut his hair. People were constantly going, when's he cutting his hair? And he already had. So it's a trim.
Yeah. You know what we were surprised by? Because the guy sprayed it, the singing barber, he sprayed it, and it was way longer. Like he was, it was Crystal Gale. I mean, it was super long. I was like, whoa, look at that. But Matt and I were talking and about like how bad the Democrats are. So we're chatting about how bad they are and how hard they make things that don't need to be made hard. I could give you a roadmap. I was saying this today to my wife. I said I could give them a roadmap, tell them everything to do. And I could do it like, here's point A with a circle. X is where the treasure is. It's a straight line. They would take 2 steps, spin around, and walk off a cliff. But that is why Trump. That is why Trump. My other favorite thing last night which I didn't see too many people talk about this, but Elizabeth Warren, they talk about the Pocahontas thing, which is always nice. But he called her Pocahontas, and somebody said, well, he called out your name. And she goes, I know, I was upset about that. I'm like, your name's not Pocahontas. Your name's Elizabeth. It's not Pocahontas. That's not your name.
Well, if you translate it from English into her native language, it's Pocahontas.
That's not your name. By the way, for those of you guys know, Pocahontas was real. I've been to her grave. Do you know where she's buried?
No, where?
London.
Serious? Oh, that's right. That's right.
Did you not see the movie?
Not in years.
You know what? My uncle sends me a TikTok the other day, and it's about this lady who's being haunted. And they're like, the cops are asking her name. She's like in a hotel. She kind of looks like a little out of it. And she's like, I'm Pocahontas from Disney. And she gives her name, and the cops, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right. I look it up. I'm like, oh, my God, it is her. She's gone nuts.
That was her real name?
No, it's her. The lady that actually voiced the Pocahontas.
Oh.
She's living in a hotel, people. Things have not gone well for Disney. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. Maybe we should talk about the human cannonball. I think we need to change subjects because the Democrats should ask you to change subjects every time. But this is it's fantastic. It's a good story. It's a good feel-good story. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks. Right now, I want you to go to Prize Picks. Download the app. Right, so you go to App Store, you download the app. Now, what is Prize Picks? It's not, when people say, oh, I'm going to bet this or that, it's all about, it's 2.5 points here, 3 points, there's spreads. None of that stuff. It's over, under. It's higher, lower. It's simple. Do you think it's, because the madness of March is going on right now. It's in full effect. You got pro basketball flying around, right? So all this stuff's going on. Curry, he's kind of firing on all cylinders right now. Do you think he's going to make more, not score more, but make more than, say, 5.5 3-pointers in a game? Well, yeah, I do. Over here, you got Luka playing for the Lakers now. Do you think he's going to score more than 23.5 points a game? He's looking fit and trim, and he wants to get the Lakers rocking and rolling. Do you think he's going to score more or less? There you go. There's your lineup. That's how easy it is. It takes less than 60 seconds to play. And right now, when you download the app and use my code CHAD, you get $50 immediately when you play your first $5 lineup. And that includes a loss or a win. Doesn't matter. Download the app. Use my code to get that $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Download the app now. Use code CHAD. Prize Picks. Run your game. Prize Picks. Run your game. And do it now. But again, must be 21 or older. Present in Tennessee. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-889-9789.
Breaking news about tariffs. President Trump offering a 1-month exemption to automakers. This story and more at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Look, kids, in the sky. It's flying over us. Uh-oh. It's the greatest thing ever. The human cannonball, ladies and gentlemen.
The video is just wild, and so is this man's profession. I mean, he is an actual human cannonball. That is what he does. So he voluntarily climbs into these cannons. He gets shot 65 feet into the air and then lands on a target more than 100 feet away. He's been doing this for decades, very long time, but this time things didn't go as planned. Watch. You can just hear people in the audience kind of gasping as he just bounced out of that net. That is Chachi, the Rocket Man Valencia. He is famous around the world. This happened yesterday afternoon at the Riverside County Fair and National Date Festival in Indio.
It was awesome. I don't know what else to say. I listened, she's like, oh. So, first of all, I don't know who the Rocket Man is, so I'm like, he's world famous. So I looked him up. He's like 600 followers on the Instagram. You get shot out of a cannon, I expect more than that. Would you guys agree? I mean, just a little bit more. Okay, let's pick up the story because now they're going to talk to the crowd.
Now, no official word on what happened, what caused him to bounce off of that net, kind of miss that target. But at least he landed in the net. His injuries not life-threatening. He was rushed here to this hospital in Colton, and we're told he was released last night. So not life-threatening injuries. I've actually been in contact with him. He said he's in a lot of pain around his rib cage area, and he is now traveling home right now.
He's traveling home. By that, you mean home's where the heart is and where his RV takes him. Because I feel like Chachi lives in an RV. Not because he wants to.
Which we believe is in Texas. So was not able to talk tonight, but we're hoping for tomorrow. Again, the good news is he is expected to be okay, but ooh, that had to hurt.
It did. It had to hurt a lot. But alas, what are you going to do? So he climbs in this thing. He gets people pumped up, and it's a pretty big cannon-looking thing, and it's 165 feet to a net. The net, though, is like 25 feet in the air.
We're told he started with his usual routine, which is a 20-minute kind of pump-up, warm-up speech before the actual stunt. Then, as always, he climbs into the cannon for the countdown, which you could hear in that video. His website says that countdown helps him both mentally and physically prepare for impact. Now, he's been doing this for 23 years. He's got a global following. He actually performed at the closing ceremony of the 2012 Summer Olympic Games in London, also at the 2014 Carnival Festival in Rio. There, he became the first person ever to shoot 6 times in 40 minutes on top of a moving float. His wife, also a professional human cannonball.
Sure she is.
Now, it's still not clear exactly what went wrong here, but spectators say it was really windy yesterday.
Here we go.
See, like the gates right behind him was just being pushed by the wind, so I was like, he might not make it. But thank God he did make it to the net at least, But we did see him bounce off, and it was kind of, it was a little scary.
I had a feeling something was going to happen because it's really windy, and he seemed nervous.
Oh, my God. I had a feeling something was going to happen because it's really windy, and he seemed pretty nervous. And, some of these people, they don't look like the professionals at the India. I've been to that thing. And I'm not saying they're not professionals, but I'm not saying they are. So, and if you look at the video, Chachi flies out, and he did not get the wind right. And he's lucky he caught a portion of the net. Because otherwise, I'm pretty sure it would have been curtains for Chachi. The human. How do you get to that? First of all, and the other thing is, who hires you for the Olympics? I mean, you think rock stars, you think of all of that stuff. Who goes, hey, you know what we need? Chachi, the human cannonball. That will put icing on the cake. Coming up, hour 2. A lot of stuff still to get to. If you're missing the show, we say shame. Grab the podcast, Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
1 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Great news about the wildfires in East Tennessee. Reports say all evacuation orders have been lifted in Monroe County. That's where 14 families had to leave their homes yesterday. Overnight storms helped to dampen the flames there and in Sevier County, where at least 2 homes were destroyed. President Trump says he will allow a 1-month exemption for U.S. automakers from new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada. Trump made the announcement after meeting with the leaders of the Big Three, Ford, GM, and Stellantis today. And a $10 million reward now being offered for information on 10 Chinese citizens accused of cyber hacking the Treasury Department to steal data. The alleged mastermind of the 2021 Abbey Gate terrorist attack that killed 13 U.S. service members and at least 60 civilians during the withdrawal from Afghanistan could be in a U.S. courtroom as soon as today. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
President Trump announced that we have detained Mohammed Sharifullah, the monster who was responsible for that horrific attack, and he was delivered to Dulles Airfield earlier this morning.
Sharifullah allegedly admitted to the FBI his role in the terror attack, stating he conducted surveillance so that he could prepare the suicide bomber and transport him to the target area. In our nation's capital, 4 Democratic U.S. mayors trying to justify their sanctuary city status before the GOP-controlled House Oversight Committee. This is Denver Mayor Mike Johnston.
As mayor, I have to protect the health and safety of everyone in our city. As a man of faith, I have a moral obligation to care for those in need.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu.
A city that's scared is not a city that's safe. A land ruled by fear is not the land of the free.
Eric Adams of New York City, also Chicago's mayor, testifying. This House Oversight Committee launched an investigation in January into sanctuary city policies that limit compliance with federal immigration enforcement officials. Right now in Alaska, Alex Stone says a recovery effort's underway in a remote part of the state to get to 3 skiers who were overtaken by a large avalanche yesterday.
It was a large avalanche near Girdwood, about 40 miles south of Anchorage. Girdwood is the skiing capital of Alaska. 3 adult heliskiers were caught as the snow came down. Guides from a heliskiing operation tried to get to them but could not when avalanche beacons indicated they were buried 40 to 100 feet down in the snow. The area is under an extreme avalanche risk, and Alaska State Troopers have not been able to get to them. It's believed to be a recovery and not a rescue.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Enjoyable night last night, Asheville Palace. Even in the rain and the craziness, place was cool. Very cool. If you didn't get out there, we missed you. We had a great time. I want to say hi to a ton of people who came out to me. Very, first time I'm hanging out with the TN crowd. Super excited to be part of the family. Figuring people are going to yell at me because I'm a little different. I think we already know that. Bell's like, I'm not going to come back you up. I don't like you that much. Right, so it's just poor Ken and I.
I told you how to handle things. If things go south, you jump behind Murphy.
Murphy. A lot of people chiming in about his haircuts. They were not. Some people said, it was kind of very disappointing. A little bit like the Epstein files. Not quite what they were expecting. Speech was good. It was too long for my taste. I'm not a speech guy. It's never been my jam. I know he set the record, even though it's officially not the record because it's not a record to be set because it wasn't technically the State of the Union, but it was.
Did you notice he never cracked open the binder?
No.
He never opened it.
He is, he's great at working a room. He's great off the cuff. He is not great at reading off stuff. It's not. And I'm sitting there.
You could tell he had his beats prepared, though. You could tell where he knew where he was going from one moment to another.
See, and
but there was a lot of riffing.
You know what? Don't write too much. Give him bullet points. It's easier. But also tell him, look, dude, we love you, Mr. President, but I don't want to be here till 4 a.m. So, and most people tune out about 10 p.m. Eastern. And that's when you see a huge drop off in the amount of people that are watching. Because people got to get up the next day. Plus, I thought it was good.
If you're pro-Trump, you're already down with the message anyway, so you don't need to hear the rest. And if you're anti-Trump, you probably weren't watching.
Yeah, exactly. And there was, most of, like a lot of the polls that are out right now are polls that the CBS YouGov poll, 76% of people support Trump. Most people that were surveyed, though, are Trump supporters. But still, a decent amount of independents like the message and a decent amount of Democrats. Trump's got some wins there, no doubt. And he's got some we'll see because these things take time. This is not an easy thing. This is not a switch over tomorrow, everything's fine. You've got to let it play itself out because that's just the nature of this, like when it comes to the economy. When it comes to the economy, there is, I was explaining it today to some people. I said, think of it like this. Let's say you bring in a new football coach. So the Titans go get a new coach, right? But the new coach has to have time to implement his system. The new coach has to have, and unlike, that coach is coming in the middle of the year and you've signed him to a long-term deal. So he's got to have time to implement the system. To put it in, he's going to need some of the players that he wants surrounding him, and he's going to need to let this thing breathe and put it into play. It's not an overnight thing. Well, he's nothing but full of hyperbole. Yeah. I was always telling, I'm sitting there like, because it's, do I believe everything he says? Hell no. No. Because it's hyperbole. He throws stuff out there. You're like, that's not true, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. What do you mean truth doesn't matter? Well, truth doesn't. Truth stopped mattering a long time ago. That went away a long time ago. But a lot of what he says has a lot of truth to it. It's like I've always said this. Trump's one of those guys, he goes out, he catches a fish. Tells everybody, I caught a shark. And everybody's like, oh, awesome. It's like, it was a great white shark. And then people look and go, it was a blue shark. He did catch a shark. It was a shark. It was a blue shark. Wasn't a great white. Caught an orca. He puts mustard on stuff, which every politician does. Trump has to, like for me, it's like, if you're gonna put some mustard on stuff, it's like, you want to, I want to make it somewhat believable. The greatest. Better than George Washington. That's what I heard. Who told you that? Me.
A friend of mine.
What's his name? His name is Donald. Good friend of mine. But the win, there's wins out there. There's tons of wins out there and opportunities. And when I watched the attitude of the Democrats last night, when I watched them sitting on their hands, even though there were things out there that they knew, That's absolutely correct. I want you to listen. This is Mark Warner. He is a Democrat. He was on, I think, MSNBC today or CNN, and they were asking him about, I don't know, immigration.
You were saying on Fox News, I believe it was yesterday, that Donald Trump has done a good job at the border. So do you agree with that assessment, that Donald Trump is the only thing that's needed to change the circumstances at the border?
I think it is good that we're at a 25-year low in terms of border crossing. My words yesterday, they were not great. Let me be the first to acknowledge that. And I think what he's doing to our economy and our
Why weren't they great? Why weren't they great?
Because the notion that the numbers are down, which I think is good for America, and I think the vast majority of Americans realized President Biden didn't have a secure enough border. Those numbers are down. That's good news for our country. But the idea that that becomes an ability to sanction ICE to have, unfettered immigration raids doesn't make sense.
This is not unfettered immigration raids. First of all, ICE is allowed to do stuff. These raids have gone on. They were going on during Biden. What do you think, that ICE sat at home? Well, ICE guy, sit at home. That's it. We're going to have to sit around here and wait till the next guy comes in that may or may not give us the opportunity to go and do some stuff. He's having to apologize for telling the truth. That's why truth doesn't matter. Truth stopped mattering when you told the truth, you got punished for it. When you started telling the truth to people, things that they didn't want to hear, even though it was real, and you got punished for that, then truth stopped mattering. It's just easier to lie. Easier to lie. He's like, oh, let me backtrack. But yeah, it's better. I think we know that Biden didn't really have a handle on the border. You think? There was no border. It's hard to have a handle on something that didn't exist. Well, that's because he didn't get, all of the stuff he needed. He needed money and a special bill to get everything done. I mean, he didn't have, and Trump, he had to do the same thing. Wrong.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
That's it. All you had to do was enforce the law. That's all you had to do. You enforce the law. Yeah, enforce the law. Problem solved. Even with the way that Biden ran things, he could have changed one or two things. He could have changed nothing and actually just told them, hey, you know the law we have? Just follow the law. Just follow it. See what happens. Just go on and follow it. See what happens. But he did none of that. And then Mayorkas would go, the border is secure, which apparently we have a different definition of secure.
If it was secure, why was that law even needed? I mean, that's what I want to know. You had all these Democrats for months saying the border is secure, and then suddenly the border is not secure, and we have to have this specific bill to save us.
Yeah, and by the way, the specific bill, like the Border Patrol endorsed it because inside of it had a lot of money for new technology, things they needed. But it didn't change the amount of people that could still come in here. And I don't care. You ask anybody, and living on the border, for those of you guys new to the show, God bless you. Thanks for listening. I spent the last 7 years in Arizona. And when I mean I was on the border, I was on the border. I was in the hot spot for fentanyl and all kinds of stuff because I lived in an area, the Valley of the Dirt People, where I was dead smack between Phoenix and Tucson. And where I lived, the Tohono O'odham tribe was, if you come out of my my housing area, and if you would have turned left, you go down about 1.5 miles and you're on the reservation. And then another 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes, you're into Mexico, essentially. But you're on the reservation still because it crossed over into Mexico. By the way, they're not a fan of Tohono O'odham tribe. But I was smack dab in the middle of it. All of my neighbors were in the Border Patrol or doing stuff. It's like I talk to them all the time because we had a really solid pickleball league. I just want to point that out. We're solid. I played in a bunch of pickleball tournaments last year for the Border Patrol. I'm honorary, not quite I didn't get a badge or anything, but they would have let me arrest somebody, I'm thinking.
So the kid outranks you at this point.
Yes.
He's officially Secret Service, and you're just honorary.
Yeah, I was. I played. I won a tournament with my Border Patrol friends because we kick butt. But they would tell me all the time, all they need to tell us to do is to enforce stuff. They ask me, I say, what do you guys need? And they would say, the opportunity to do our jobs. That's it. Right now, all I am is a secretary. I'm a bus driver and a secretary. Nothing more. And, they were frustrated, too, because the Tohono O'odham tribe, if you guys don't know, on the reservations, you cannot build the wall. So, because it's not American land, essentially. It's the land of the tribe. So you can't build a wall. And they also don't allow them to build any kind of roads out there. So they're limited in the vehicles they take out there. So it's really tough. And when I used to drive to pick up my son, Jack, I would go take, also the Valley of the Dirt People. You drive out through, through Yuma, because I was always at Yuma. And then I would go up and through San Diego. And I will tell you, where we were a portion of Imperial Valley in San Diego, there wasn't a time when I didn't see 300-400 people in tents waiting to surrender. And if you guys don't know, if you've ever traveled out there, they have signs that basically says that like you have deer signs here, like deer crossing. They have signs where it's like a family crossing because they know people are going to be running across the freeway because they've crossed into the country. All they wanted was the opportunity. They used to tell me we need more beds and more judges. That would solve a lot of it. They were frustrated. But they used to say, we don't trust this administration, because the Biden administration, because even if he gets any bill he wants, even if it's a great bill, unless you enforce the bill, it doesn't matter. See California and everywhere else where they allow people to steal anything they want. What's the use of having crimes down in the big city? Well, when you don't charge people with the crime's not really down. You just don't acknowledge it. But the border is definitely a win for him, and there's no doubt about that.
Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way.
Perfect example of hyperbole. The lowest ever, if ever, started in February of 2000. I don't know if you're aware of this. That's not forever. But it's low. I mean, it was 800. 8,300 last month, 8,300, 8,800, somewhere around there. Do you know what it was the year before? Same time? 130,000. And those are known. Gotaways are always, especially now during Trump's time, are going to be a little bit higher than maybe they even were under Biden, because the only way to get in the country now is to be a gotaway. All right, coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. Got some of your text messages. By the way, I posted the little thing we played with young DJ that he filmed before, talking about how he first found out he had cancer and all of this stuff. It's really good. If you want to check it out, at Chad Benson Show on the Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Rough greens. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this stuff power-packed into a supplement that you give your dog every single day. Right now, they're doing a 90-day challenge. But first and foremost, when you go to roughgreens.com, use my code CHAD. they're going to get you out a Jumpstart trial bag. It's a $20 value. It's not going to cost you anything but shipping. Okay? So it's 1 scoop a day. Don't change your dog's food. The first 30 days, you're going to notice shinier coat, more energy. By day 60, energy level is going to be up, mobility is going to be better, and the coat's going to be thicker and not too much shedding. By day 90, improved immune system, better digestive tract. The mobility level is through the roof. It's like getting a whole new dog, and the heart health, huge improvement. Try a Jumpstart trial bag now and take the 90-day challenge with Rough Greens. I swear by it with my cats and my dog. My dogs and my cat, and it is incredible. And don't change a thing. 1 scoop, that's all you need. Roughgreens.com. Use code Chad. Roughgreens.com, code Chad.
All right, drivers, got a report of a crash on the South Loop here, 40 westbound, right before 65 south. And breaking news in the tariff war for the big three U.S. automakers. I'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk at 99.7 WTN.
You know, the tariff things, I saw a guy today, they were talking about, I think it was on, it was a local, like, Fox station. It wasn't a station that was like the big Fox, and they were talking to him, they were chatting away, and he's like, he's a dealer. And he's showing what the prices are going to be. And they're like, I thought it was going to be $3,000. Like, no, it's a 25%, jump is what it's going to be. So if something is $100,000, it's going to be $125,000. It's not going to be $103,000 because that's how insane some of these, vehicles are nowadays. I'll take a 30-year mortgage lease with my car. They're writing notes, I think, for 7 years, maybe more now.
I thought 5 was ridiculous.
Oh, I know. That's why Bell just steals cars, for God's sakes.
Well, if you leave the keys in there, I consider that a tacit invitation to take it.
What do you think this is, San Francisco?
Yes.
A lot of fun, though, last night. And it was good to see Joan. I don't, because like all of us, we don't cross paths that much. Because, I get here and it's just Chris and I, and then I'll see Matt. We don't see each other like we used to. It was good to hang out with Dan and everybody, and I appreciate everybody kind words last night. Bunch of pictures taken. People were really bummed you didn't show, Bell. I got to be honest with you.
They'll get over it.
I don't think they will, Brother Bilal.
I'm pretty sure they will.
No, we were talking about it. I mean, I was like, Bell really should be here. I mean, he's part of the team. Because, see, what happens is people start thinking you're not part of the team. Like, we're keeping you away from something.
I think more than anything, the only part of any of this that I regret is the Streisand effect, where if I had just kept it a little more low-key, people wouldn't be so curious.
Yeah, that would have been a good thing. But you didn't, and so alas, here we are. Alas, here we are. You didn't shut up. You brought it up. Now everybody wants to know. I got asked 10 times last night, is Bell coming? I'm like, maybe he's here. You don't know.
That's a good point.
That's
I
my
could
new
have been
thing.
sitting right in the middle of the crowd, and everybody would have been like, oh, it's too bad Bell didn't come.
Because there was a couple people I think who've seen you, have met you once or twice, but a lot of people don't know what you look like, and they've not met you, and they're like, oh, he's here? I said, maybe. So every time we would go somewhere and I'd be talking to somebody and other people see over, they're looking to see, is that Bell?
Well, see, what you've done now is you've planted the seed for everybody to believe I actually was there. So
Correct.
I've done nothing wrong.
Correct. 84 months is what you can go to now on a car. 84 months.
That's ridiculous.
Is that insane?
How many times is that car going to need to be repaired before that loan is paid off?
I don't know. And you know, one of the other things I was looking the other day on why now they're just total cars. They're just like, because I mean, there's cars out there. It's like you think, oh, it's no big deal.
I got in an accident 2 years ago where I got pancaked on Ellington Parkway or Parkway, whatever. And they totaled my car, and they totaled it for more than I paid for it.
Wow.
Interesting.
Because it's insurance fraud.
Well, it was at that point where there was used cars had become so expensive that the car, even as a junker, as a total, was worth more than I had paid it because the market had gotten so tight.
Yeah. Well, so when everything went crazy a few years ago with the especially the used car thing, you know, my buddy had a lease and he didn't put a lot of miles on it, and they came to him and they said, "Oh yeah, you know, we'd like to take that back from you, and maybe you can get something else." And he's like, "No, I'm going to buy it." Saying, "No, you don't want to buy it." They're like, "No, I'm going to buy it." And his buyout was really cheap, and he knew I could flip this thing right now for like 5, 10, 15 grand more. I mean, it had gotten to that point. It was crazy. Hey, by the way, shout out to our friends at Maple Street Biscuits. They brought us biscuits earlier today, and you didn't have any, Bell.
No, I did not.
I will tell you this.
I snuck a tiny, tiny little taste, and I had to walk out because I wanted to eat the whole box.
Incredible. I don't need biscuits for the bottoms, but I will tell you it was delicious.
And she brought that big old thing of jam and frosting to go with it.
It was that stuff. And I'm not, you know.
That woman needs to be cursed.
She does. But thank you so much. It was awesome. And Maple Street Biscuits, they're not paying us the same. We're just telling you guys, if you need a biscuit, they do biscuits, and they do them well. And they were delicious. They're fantastic. We're talking a little bit about immigration. Got some more audio. There's a House hearing today where I don't even know how you justify some of this insanity of like, well, the reason we do this is because we want to fight the federal government. The federal government has limited powers, but one of their only powers that you really can point at easily and say, it's all about the border, right? You guys break the border. It's about immigration. And the fact that we have states, and I'm a big states' rights person, but the fact that we have states and, you know, the federal government fighting over something that 80 to 90% of people agree with is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. We're going to talk about that, a bunch of other stuff as well. And like I said, I posted the DJ video on my my TikTok, my Twitter, my X, I don't know what it's called today. I'll throw it up on my TikTok and my Insta as well. So check it out. It's just a great video. And check out Chad Benson Show TV too, because I did a little video on the insanity of the left and how they just were so horrible last night about that kid getting the opportunity to be a Secret Service agent. Yes, I know it's honorary, but come on. Good God, get your heads out your butt. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes and breaking news in the tariff war. President Trump giving the big three U.S. automakers a month-long exemption on imports from Mexico and Canada. He says reciprocal tariffs still go into effect on April 2nd, but he's giving the automakers a month so they're not at an economic disadvantage under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, which Trump did to replace NAFTA. President Trump Tuesday night saying new trade tariffs may cause what he called a little disturbance for American consumers. ABC's Rachel Scott asking White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can.
As for the other kind of war, reports say the CIA has paused sharing intelligence with Ukraine. And the U.S. is charging a dozen Chinese nationals, including hackers, law enforcement officers, and employees of a private hacking company known as iSoon in connection with global cyber espionage campaigns. They were able to give the Chinese Communist Party access to private texts and phone conversations of an unknown number of Americans. Great news about the East Tennessee wildfires. Reports say all evacuation orders have been lifted in Monroe County, where 14 families had to leave their homes yesterday. Overnight storms helped dampen the flames there and in Sevier County, where at least 2 homes were destroyed. As for wildfires in California in January, Alex Stone updates.
Even though a cause of the Eden fire has not yet been determined, lawsuits have been piling up against Southern California Edison based on witness accounts and videos indicating the fire started under Southern California Edison power lines. SoCal Edison has denied there is any proof of its involvement. But now Los Angeles County is suing Edison to recover costs of the destructive Eden fire. The lawsuit from the county alleges it was Edison's equipment that ignited the fire.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Bulwark Capital. Awesome. You're saying to yourself, what's Bulwark Capital? Imagine this. You're investing, right? Maybe you're just kind of getting into it. Maybe you're investing for retirement and you're really starting to ramp it up. Bulwark is going to build you out, not a cookie cutter solution, a solution that fits you, your needs, the things that you want. Right now, they're doing a webinar. It is Thursday, the 20th at 3:30 Pacific, 5:30 our time. It's about 45 minutes. My buddy Zach Abraham, who I love, that the guy is great. He's going to break you down what Bulwark does. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility. That is their main goal, and they do it better than anybody else. And how they can grow is by active management. They're not just throw you in some mutual funds and see you later kind of people. That's not what they do. They're awesome. Sign up today at knowyourriskradio.com. Takes about 45 minutes. You'll love it. They'll also give you what I like to call a second opinion on your entire portfolio. Go through it and show you where they think you're missing out specifically for you. Sign up today at knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Check Financial LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involves risk, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Track 25137. There's a hearing going on in the nation's capital. Has to do with sanctuary cities. Brandon Johnson, whose approval rating, by the way, is it's measles just above Brandon Johnson. People are like, do you want to hang out with Brandon Johnson? Like, what's my other choice? Measles. I'll take B.
And Jim Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's like on this guy like a pit bull on a poodle.
Oh, let's see, I hear that. And the whole thing with a pit bull and a poodle. And to be honest with you, I think that's kind of not cool. I don't think that's cool.
Well, now, if it's a standard poodle, he at least has a height advantage.
He does have a height advantage. And when it comes to hair, let's be real, standard poodles are phenomenal. They got the hair, right?
Yeah.
You think when they're born, they're just like, really, God, this is what you did for me? Now some weird woman's now adopted me, and she's going to take me in every year, and I'm going to have a perm, and then she's going to get me shorn in all kinds of places so I look like a stupid balloon dog.
She's going to name me Shoo Shoo.
Oh, yes. Awful. Here is Brandon Johnson. He's fantastically horrible.
I wouldn't have.
Oh, that's Dick Durbin. Wrong.
The 40 years of Chicago's leaders have recognized that our policies toward civil immigration matters help to prevent and solve crimes. Put simply, any actions that amplify fears of deportations make Chicago more dangerous. Those fears cause witnesses and victims to avoid cooperating with police. The cooperation of all people, regardless of their immigration status, is essential to achieving the city's goals of reducing crime and pursuing justice for victims. When there is trust between city's residents and the police, undocumented immigrants come forward to report crimes to local law enforcement and provide information that helps the police solve those crimes.
That is an absolute lie. Do you want to know why when people say, people here who are born in America, they commit crimes at a higher rate? In some areas, that's true. But you know what really happens? People who are here illegally, who are keeping to themselves, right? They're good people. I'm not some of these people there's a lot of these knee-jerk reactions. Oh, we got to get rid of them all, blah, blah. I'm not one of those guys, right? I recognize the value. I understand what's going on. I would have done the same thing. But, Matt and I talked about it last night. You wouldn't have done the same thing? If you're next door, you're starving, your kids are starving, you wouldn't have done the same thing? Hell yeah, you do the same thing. 100%. I would also recognize and put myself in a position where if I get caught, it's on me. That being said, the reason the numbers are lower in certain areas, not all areas, is because people that are here illegally, they don't want to call the cops. That's why, like Trente Agua and all these gangs are able to run roughshod in certain areas on these people because they understand they're terrified to call the police. Because police means involvement with people who are law enforcement, and they're worried they may be in trouble. So it's just easier to give in, which is not right. And those people that, quote unquote, want to help, your goal apparently is to protect everybody. And when I hear, the statistics of this or statistics of that, settle down. All right, Brandon, nobody buys what you're selling. You're full of crap. Nobody buys it. This is the problem with the Democrat Party. When I hear stuff like that, when I hear stuff like from Mayor Wu, who already has enough issues this week because first thing she did after a police shooting, talked about it yesterday, guy goes, chases people trying to stab them into a Chick-fil-A in Boston. Off-duty officer tries to de-escalate. There's escalation, de-escalation, tries to de-escalate. He eventually has to kill that person. And the first things that she does is she apologizes to the person that was trying to kill other people. So that already put her in a situation where even people in Boston are like, really? She comes out today, though, and says, hey, you know what? You guys are welcome here. You're all family, right? You deserve to be here.
You belong here. This is your home. Boston es tu hogar. Boston, 这里 这是你的家. This is our city. We are the safest major city in the nation because we are safe for everyone.
I want safety for everyone. That's why the worst first is what they focus on. That's why catching the bad people is what they focus on. But instead, what you do is you take this bizarre path of, no, we're not going to help. Now, if I'm the local police, and I've got buddies who are cops, and I say, look, we don't want to be the immigration police. I said, no, that's not your job. But if there's somebody in custody, like if there's a guy that you picked up on warrants for speeding tickets and a bunch of unpaid stuff, and you picked him up, and the feds call you and go, hey, you got Bell the Basher, right? He's there, Bell Basher K, right? The notorious Basher. He's wanted for federal charges, and he's a citizen. Are you going to kick him out the back door? You're not going to do that. You're going to transfer him. But you play this game because that's what it is. And my question's always, like, I would ask, and the problem with a lot of this stuff, like today, when you see stuff in front of the cameras, a lot of it is based on, the 5 or 7 minutes that people will take asking the question so they can grandstand. But my question is simply this. Who's this for? Who's that for? Who's that playing for right there? Because it didn't work. You guys aren't in the White House. And one of the big reasons, besides the fact that that guy had lost his marbles, is because you guys allowed endless droves of people to come over here, mostly unvetted. And if they were vetted, at best, it was minimal. Who's that for? I mean, it's not for me. It's not for the average person, Democrat or Republican. So who's it for? Why are you doing this? Because that's what they feel they need to do. And they feel that, hey, we are the state and the city, and we should be able to resist because it's part of the resistance movement. And we're not going to cooperate. And because we're not going to cooperate, we're getting points, apparently. It's mind-boggling. But I shouldn't be surprised. I've done this for quite a long time. And it really became a bigger issue when, well, obviously, Trump. Like, everything is with Trump. Everything is with Trump. Last night, had it been President, Smitherson, Republican, kind of dull, and he would have had that little kid up there, they would have cheered. They talked about closing the border and getting everything going in the right direction. They would have cheered. But because it's Trump, they want to resist because maybe that's what they think their power is. Dick Durbin.
I wouldn't have necessarily done all the things that were done, but I understand the emotion. He's offering showmanship and bluster and bullying. We need to provide real solutions and avoid taking the bait.
That wasn't any conscious strategy. In terms of responding to that speech, I think there are better ways to do it. Stick with the basics.
Look, I believe firmly that should be a room of decorum. Now, that said, I've never seen a speech before where a president trolls, heckles, demeans, and degrades people actually sitting in front of him.
Well, first of all, yes, you have, because it's Donald Trump. And it's kind of one of his jams. I was like, that's kind of my calling card. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. That's like, I do other things, but, been known to. And who did he heckle? Well, he heckled Elizabeth Warren. Really? Because this is one of my favorite things from the whole Elizabeth Warren thing. Because this was about war. Remind you, this, again, is about war. Why that started is because Trump talked about Zelensky, Ukraine. It's about war. And she reacted when he called her Pocahontas.
Senator Warren, what did you think of Trump calling you out by name?
I actually hit a nerve when I applauded the United States support of Ukrainian patriots. And if that hits a nerve for Trump, then it's worth sitting through the rest of that speech.
Thank you, Senator.
Your name is not Pocahontas. Your name is Elizabeth Warren. He made fun of you. That's not your name. It's not a nickname that you want to be saddled with. Like, oh, yeah, Pocahontas. It's not. It's all show. You don't think they're show? Everybody's show. That's unfortunate what our politics has become. It's become show, show, show. Everything's a show. They all run to their cameras. They all do stuff. They all, and that's the way you talk to people nowadays. Like last night, Slotkin gave the rebuttal, which is, we were talking about how awful that is. That never comes off good because you're not in front of a live audience, right? Like they put you in a room and they turn on the camera and they say, oh, a whole bunch of people are watching you. And then you do your little thing. There's no reaction to it. There's nobody around you. You're not getting feedback. And it's all prepared. And if you're not good at prepared stuff, it comes across. I would have said, well, no, our reaction's all going to be online. You go find out what our people have to say. And they're going to show you online what and how they feel. But instead, they had her do it. And again, it's a thankless gig. It is. It is. I see Vance is at the border. Good for him. Hope he likes it there. You know what? I've been to the border so many times. People are like, what's it like? I'm like, it's hot. It doesn't seem to me matter. It's either freezing cold with wind or it's hot. There's nothing in between. Not a thing in between. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. We got some fun stuff. Some more about last night as well. Because there's still some stuff. And we're going to talk about the interesting, the trans thing, the DEI thing. That was interesting. But there's a lot that goes into a lot of this wackiness. And there's new studies that have come out. Yet another study's come out. And wow, this isn't going well at all for the people that are pushing this. So talk a little bit about that as well as toxic masculinity. Why women are avoiding men. Good times. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Lean is awesome. Yo-yo dieting sucks. And you don't want to be that. Everybody has done it, right? You go up 20, you go down 25 pounds, you put on 30. It just drives you crazy. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your blood sugar. I mean, type 2 diabetes, strokes. That always yo-yo dieting is not only that, it's not good for you mentally. Frustrating to say the least. Check this out. Right now, I want you to go takelean.com. Now, takelean.com is 3 pills you take in the morning. It's simple and easy. There's no prescription. There's no shots. There's none of that stuff. It's going to help you with your blood sugar. It's going to help you with your cravings. And it's going to help you turn the fat into energy. Scientifically formulated, it is incredible. I take it every single day, and I love it. If you're sick of the yo-yo dieting, if you're frustrated with the yo-yo up and down, and 1 minute I'm in a large shirt, the next minute I'm in a double X. Oh, how did I get here? Stop it. Get off the roller coaster and check out Lean. Save 20%. Use Benson20 at takelean.com now. That's takelean.com. Use code Benson20.
Must-hear audio of Jim Jordan scorching Denver's mayor over the release of an illegal immigrant with a criminal record. We'll tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That is awesome. There's a new study out about men and women.
Are they different?
No. Are they different? That's the dumbest thing you've ever asked. Of course, they're the exact same. They've never been more same than ever. But it's about toxic masculinity. And because, International Women's Day is approaching.
Yep.
And it talks about, and it's funny because it's put together by like this group that is everything you would think. It's like Ladies for Social Justice. Because there's nobody there that's ever been a victim. All sex is rape. All sex, it's like one of those things. And again, it's who's it blame? Donald Trump. Of course you blame Donald Trump. Democrats. Over the last 2 weeks, I have read article after article of them trying to figure out how they went wrong in the last election, especially with young men. How did we go wrong in the last election? Especially, how did this happen? Because you suspended common sense and reality. You told white men and all men that any masculinity is toxic masculinity. Then you tried to reshape masculinity with these weird videos for, white dudes for Harris or these kind of things. And it was the lowest T thing ever. You're not gonna get anything with that. You're not. You're not gonna get a thing with that. And when I see today that Florida's looking at the Tate brothers. Did they do anything wrong? Could they be prosecuted? If you don't know who Andrew Tate and his brother are, they're awful, and they're caricatures of strong men. They're over the top. They are, we're rich. We got all this money. We got all these chicks, blah, blah, blah. They were wanted in Romania. They were under house arrest for a long time while they investigated them, sex trafficking, underage girls, things of that nature. They lifted the ban on them traveling, I think, 10 days ago. And then they came to the U.S. And, Ron DeSantis was like, we don't want them in this state. I mean, we can't stop them, but we don't want them here. But when you promote weakness, when you promote things that are completely against what nature is, what nature says a man is, as far as being masculine, being a certain type of person, which has been around for, ever in a day. When you say that is wrong and that is bad and that is toxic, when you do those things, you come to find out that after a while, not only do they stop listening, they start looking elsewhere. And then they go to the extremes. And they search out. And they find people like him, Andrew Tate, and several others who are saying, yeah, women do suck. They are pieces of property. They're meat. They're this, that. Yeah, you shouldn't be blamed for stuff. It's sad. And then you read these articles and these polls. Women are afraid the impact of toxic masculinity is scaring women away. No, it's not. Men don't want anything to do with those 23-year-old progressive single women. They don't want anything to do with them. They're just waiting for the robots. I saw a great article about that as well. Why engineers build sex robots. But do you not see that? Tim Walz, sorry. That's not masculine. That's not what a guy thinks of as like, oh, that's a dude. And masculinity built this country. It did. It built this country. Masculinity is the thing that carved out from the first days everything here. Masculinity is what keeps things going. It is those things. It's about being a father. It's about being a husband, a son. It's about being a good citizen, good neighbor. Well, it's toxic. It's not toxic. And by the way, I've met many women, and women, you guys know this probably as good as anybody. You know a lot of women out there that have toxic femininity because people are toxic. It's not just men. Of course, men can be a-holes. But this whole thought of, well, this is, the reason that we're not dating anymore is because men are evil and bad and toxic masculinity. That is not a good place to be. And as we grow further apart, especially the young, we're not reproducing, we're not dating. That is not a good thing. That doesn't keep up a strong society. If you missed any show, grab the podcast. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, let's get to the breaking news in the tariff war. Karen Travers over at the White House.
President Trump will give a 1-month exemption from his latest tariffs to the big three American automakers, Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said this is so these companies are, quote, not at an economic disadvantage.
The three companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call. They made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
Asked if there could be other exemptions, including eggs imported from Canada, Leavitt said the president was open to consideration.
Elsewhere in our nation's capital, Congressman Jim Jordan scorching Denver Mayor Mike Johnston for an ICE officer getting assaulted after an illegal immigrant charged with a crime was released from jail.
It's a simple question. You can release him in the parking lot, give ICE 1 hour notice, and they got to send 6 officers to arrest this guy. Or you can say, hey, what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold him. You come in and bring 2 officers in, and you turn him over there. Why not do it that way?
We have a city
You
ordinance.
know why you don't do it that way?
We have a city ordinance that governs.
Because you're a sanctuary city.
House Oversight Committee launched an investigation in January into policies that limit compliance with federal immigration enforcement officials. We're monitoring reports of a plan to cut 70,000 workers in the Department of Veterans Affairs as part of the department's goal of returning the workforce to 2019 levels of just under 400,000. That portion of savings is to be reinvested in the department to help veterans, according to a memo. Pope Francis woke up to a 20th day in the hospital. Here's Terry Moran at the Vatican.
The Vatican says he spent a quiet night. He slept until 8 in the morning. That's a little bit later than is his usual habit. He overnight did have ventilation, that high-pressure oxygen mask on his face to help him sleep and to help the body as it goes through the lower capacities that sleep brings so that he doesn't suffer one of those bronchospasms, and he didn't. It's apparently a very quiet night.
Great news about the East Tennessee wildfires. Reports say all evacuation orders have been lifted in Monroe County, where 14 families had to leave their homes yesterday. Overnight storms helping to dampen the flames there, and in Sevier County, where at least 2 homes were destroyed. And in California, here's Alex Stone.
Attention all seniors.
This morning announcement was a little different than what school kids normally hear.
This is Steve Carell.
In a post on X, The Office and Morning Show star Steve Carell telling high school seniors at schools impacted by the Eaton fire in Altadena the cost of their prom tickets this year are covered.
I work with a wonderful charity called Alice's Kids, and Alice's Kids wanted me to let you know that they will be paying for all of your prom tickets.
Prom tickets can cost $200 each now. He ended with this.
Enjoy the prom.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit. That's what you need. Our friends over at Beacon Capital Management ready to help you out. If you're worried about what's going on, you're worried about the uncertainty in the market, tariffs, all the stuff happening globally, you just need something where you get a good feel. That's what Beacon's all about. They're great. They're local. You sit down, shake your hands, talk to them. It's always good to look into somebody's eyes. And the Retirement Ready Toolkit is awesome. It's fully loaded with all kinds of good information. There's no cost, no obligation, zero pressure. So let me tell you what you get. So first and foremost, Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a maximizing your retirement income white paper. Again, no cost, no obligation, zero pressure. It's about building a relationship. Why don't you do this? Call them today, 615-488-9303. You get your free Retirement Ready Toolkit. That is 615-488-9303. Did you write that down? You can also check them out online at askbeaconnow.com. Man, Jim Jordan not having any of it. I bet you had his sleeves rolled up, too. He's a sleeves rolled up guy.
He's a wrestler.
He is a wrestler. He's a wrestling kind of guy. He likes to wrestle you guys. That's a perfect example, though. So wait, you're the mayor of Denver. You decide that you're going to kick somebody to the curb and tell them what? Hey, you know what? You got to wait here for an hour because ICE is coming to get you. What do you think's going to happen? How hard is it? You know, when Bell got picked up on those federal charges, they held him locally here.
And they had to release me because they had no evidence.
They held him locally. I mean, they knew he hadn't dead to rights. Man running around naked with a chicken head. We knew who it was.
I know how to party.
But they would hold him. They would hold you, me, anybody. This is ridiculous. This is not about going after the person down the street, but you make it so people have no choice. And I continue to ask, who's this for? Well, don't tell me who's it for. Because if you go ask your constituents, even people that are from Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, anywhere, South America, even the ones that aren't here legally, do you think they want the worst staying with them? No. They don't. Because they recognize it makes it tougher for them. And they ask the same question. Why are you doing this? Like, who's this benefit? Because it doesn't make people, and let's be real, when we talk about illegal immigration, can we just cut to the chase? We're talking about a vast majority of people coming from Central, South America, but really Mexico, Central America, and South America. That's a vast majority of it. There's been a lot from all over the globe, but when you look at the numbers, that makes up a vast majority of it. Look at Texas. Border towns where, when I'm talking mostly Latino, I'm talking 85 to 90%. They voted with Trump because they saw what was going on, and they don't want that. They don't want that at all. And they'll ask the same question my grandfather, who passed away a few years ago, would have asked over and over again. He would have said, Shad, who is this for? Not for me. No, it's not, Grandpa. It's not. It's for some bizarre vanity project of woke liberalism that thinks that they're going to have an indentured voter who will continually be basically, serving the Democrats and feeling like they owe them something for helping them. Not realizing that those people have escaped many places that had Democrat-like politics and don't want any part of it. If the Democrats knew today, I'll tell you this is a perfect example. If the Democrats knew today, hey, we're going to legalize everybody here, but 85% of them are going to vote Republican, do you know how fast they would enforce ICE and build a wall? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would be going, you want me on that wall, You need me on that wall. Oh, maybe. We switch from there to the DOGE, as we know, was brought up last night. There are more and more protests going on. This one is spectacular. This is Don Beyer. He is a congressperson. And when you listen to this, solid. That's the best way to describe this.
We're going to do everything we possibly can to lift you up. There's the whole notion of the people that are most valuable are the people that have given up their careers, given their lives. Almost every one of you can make more money selling cars.
Okay, so I want to give a timeout here. Let's refigure this one. You've done what again? You've given up your careers? You've sacrificed? Is it, guys, did I miss something? Is being a federal employee now, is that a volunteer position? I don't know. Because he made it sound like that's what it is. And no, I'm going to tell you guys this. I've seen a lot of federal workers, especially through a lot of these protests. None of you are car selling material. You know who the car seller guy is.
But instead, you're taking a lower pay in order to serve the American people.
That's right.
And we are deeply, deeply grateful. Yeah. And please be hopeful. We are not going to lose this.
We're not going to lose.
We're here today, but this is a marathon.
Yeah, that's right.
We're making progress each and every day.
That's right.
What we can't do is be so afraid, so depressed, so lost, because we have to be hopeful. We have to be courageous. We have to fight back in every way that we do.
Yep.
And when we do that, we're going to send Elon back to South Africa.
That's right.
So I just want to get this right. So the guy that's committing crimes down the street and has a record, who's here illegally, you will not deport, and you will do everything in your power to make sure that ICE, who has an order to remove them, doesn't get their hands on them. Elon Musk, who's created billions and billions of dollars of revenue and jobs for America and the globe, who adds far more than you guys think he takes, you want to deport him. And nobody questions that logic. Nobody does. Nobody goes, hey, well, that seems a bit stupid.
Came from illegally, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
More cowbell. That's what we need. You know what we need at this protest? More cowbell.
From illegally, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to make sure that we have the federal government workforce that really makes America ever stronger, ever stronger.
Yeah.
And by the way, when we take back the House, we're going to pass the PRO Act.
Yes, sir.
Hey, when we take back the House, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to ensure that there's no way we could ever fire you guys. Because that is vitally important. And it's not all of them are bad. Most of them are good people. Most of them are. They're not bad. They're doing a job. If you go back and look at spending 2009, COVID. You know, I think today's the anniversary of COVID in Tennessee, by the way. I saw that. I think today was the anniversary, 2020, that it landed, if you will. The 2019 spending, you go look at that, what it was, and you look at the amount of people we had in the government. The minute something went south, the opportunity to expand came, and we're continuing to spend and expand. And that is not something that's sustainable. It's not, because sustainability comes with either two things, and if you're not willing to cut, you're going to have to raise taxes. And if you told all those people there, great, you guys all got to keep your job, we're going to have to raise your taxes 15 or 20%, they'd be like, well, all of us don't need to keep our jobs. Tim over here is not very good at his job. Continue, sir.
Respect our workers, all of our workers, especially our federal workers, to make sure that we come together.
Yeah.
By the way, I've been a businessman for a long time. A long time ago, I figured out the only thing I have to sell is the work that the people I work with do.
Yeah.
That if I have people who are motivated and well treated and well respected, like each other, feel like they are lifted up, they do a really good job.
Yes, sir.
And when you tell them that they're dirt, that they're not important, that then they don't do such a good job.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I just want to say that if I were Elon Musk, and thank goodness I'm not, I would do it the exact opposite way. I'd be.
Listen, if I'm Elon Musk, and thank goodness I'm not, because I wouldn't want $440 billion, have a mind that is otherworldly, be pushing to take us to Mars and come up with all of these incredible things. I don't want that. This is the insanity. And by the way, let's look at federal employees. You guys ready for their salaries? I'm going to go over this again for you, not out there keeping score. Because I heard, again, I want to go back to the sacrifices they made. I want you to listen to this again, how this started.
We're going to do everything we possibly can to lift you up. There's the whole notion of the people that are most valuable are the people that have given up their careers, given their lives. Almost every one of you can make more money selling cars. I promise you that.
Because you've given up your lives and your careers. So I've got this thing that my uncle and I put together. It's a political AI kind of thing that we goof around on. It's pretty cool that we're working on. It's pretty awesome. So, are you guys ready for this? So the American worker, let's do the average American car salesman salary, shall we? Because that's what he said there. I want to get this right because I don't want there to be any, mix up here. We're going to get this right. So, dealership, average salary for a top salesperson. So, this is the top salesperson. It's going to vary. You're going to have one guy that, it's the 80-20 thing, right? 20% of your staff is going to sell 80% of the cars. Estimates put it anywhere between, on the low end, $44,000. On the high end, $150,000. That's the highest end. So those are the big car salesmen. But the average is right around 60 to 65. Now let's look at federal employees. According to ZipRecruiter, just a few days ago, average federal employee makes $106,000 a year. $106,000 a year. That does not include benefits, which would push their salary to $143,000 a year. That's pretty good. I know it's a sacrifice. Then you get a pension. Again, a sacrifice. Always sacrificing. Last night, State of the Union, but not State of the Union. Democrats embarrassed themselves. It started with Al Green. Not the singer. Let's get together. Not that guy.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Remove him from the chamber. Get him out. He was not happy about it. He reacted.
I was following the wishes of conscience. There are times when it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. This president is disrupting the healthcare system, all but defying court orders. At some point, we're all going to have to stand up.
If he defies court orders, absolutely. If he goes out there and says, no, the Supreme Court comes down and says, no. Like today they ruled on the Fed aid, the aid, USAID money and all this stuff. If he says, no, we're still not going to do it, then there's a serious issue that needs to be looked at. You don't have an answer, so your answer is protest. You don't have an answer, and you don't want to look in the mirror, so complaining is easiest. Not working. That's all I'm saying. Coming up, some more on what's going on with the grillings. Immigration, front and center in the House today. Sanctuary cities. Oh, sanctuary cities. Plus, a lot of other stuff to get to. We might relive a little bit of last night's speech, including the part with young DJ Daniel, who was the young cancer victim who was fighting hard, who's got terminal cancer and who's not given up, and the reaction by some in the media and the Democrats as well. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. All right, let's check it out. I've got amazing earbuds. They're called Raycons. The everyday earbuds are incredible. Fit, feel, comfort, second to none. Sound quality through the roof. And I love these things at a price that will not break the bank. Active noise cancellation, multi-connectivity, fast charging. Every 10 minutes gets you 90 minutes of charge. That's what's amazing about these things. And when it comes to the fit, you can wear them for hours without even noticing they're in there. They're lightweight, and they do not hurt your ears. If you're looking for the best around when it comes to sound quality, Raycon delivers day in and day out. 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, and a 30-day happiness guarantee. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Get 20% off now for the best earbuds around, the everyday earbuds from Raycon. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
President Trump giving the big three automakers an exemption on tariffs. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I cannot have a city where parents are afraid to send their children to school or where children are sleeping on the streets, creating the potential for child exploitation and sex trafficking.
That's Mayor Adams right there. This is kind of his put up or shut up moment. Obviously, Trump, with a little help, got his indictment and everything kind of tossed out. And part of the reason was maybe he did something, maybe he didn't. He would have had his opportunity in court. But Trump needed somebody that was going to help him, especially in a big city like New York, that is a sanctuary city. And he knew Eric Adams had had enough.
I must create an atmosphere that allows every law-abiding resident, documented or not, to access vital services without fear of being turned over to federal authorities.
And people think, oh, okay, so he's for sanctuary cities. No, what he wants is common sense. You know, that was one of the things Trump, last night. Welcome to common sense. It's about common sense. Common sense is, we can't legislate that. I mean, it would be great, but you can't. You can't legislate common sense. And I talked to a lot of you last night, and because you asked me about my stance on immigration. My stance on immigration is, wouldn't it be great if we all lived in our own countries and everything be great? Well, that's not going to happen. That isn't. We're not getting rid of everybody. We're not going to, even last night, Kristen was talking about, ICE, and man, these numbers aren't very good. No, they're not. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the money. We don't have the space. We still have due process. Everybody thinks, well, you're not here legally. We just grab you up and throw you out. That doesn't work that way. So the question is, how do we do it? Well, first and foremost, the border's shut. That's a win. Secondly, this is a very important thing, the worst. You get the bad ones. You get the ones who come here and feel like this world owes them something. By the way, they felt like that in their home countries, like the world owed them something. And you go after them. And you do everything you can to get them. But you've got to have some cooperation. And every time that a city that's a sanctuary city allows somebody, because they want to have this fight. Every time they do that, they allow somebody to get out, and that person commits another crime, whether it be on a citizen or a non-citizen. That's on their policies. Whether it's Wu in Boston or Brandon Johnson or Karen Bass, Chicago, New York, every time that happens, that should be on them. It should be. And this is the thing that we have talked about since you guys started listening to me. And again, God bless you. It was great meeting all of you last night. So I was explaining to somebody, let's be real. How many people do you think here? I'll throw it out to you. You and I are about the same age. I've been told 12 million for 20 years.
Yeah.
How many do you really think?
Well, considering the way government can't keep track of its own ass, I'd say it's probably more around 20 to 25 million.
I think if people found out the real number, I think they'd be like, okay, this is just ridiculous. We can't have this. But let's just say it's 20 million. You're not getting rid of 20 million people. It isn't going to happen. It isn't. So you'll have some self-deportation. You try to catch the best you possibly can. You try to make it a net positive on your side. But you're not going to get rid of 20 million people. So the question then becomes, okay, what do we do? How do we go about doing this? And that's a fair question. And I say that because you can't be disappointed in Trump and everybody else who is trying their best to do all they possibly can. Tom Homan, there's limited resources. There's just limited resources. And there's also laws in place. And I'm not talking about the sanctuary city insanity. We've got laws where you can only hold people for so long. And we don't even have the room for that. I think we have 42,000 beds, give or take. So they're always, trying to process, bring new people in. And some days they just have to say, we got to turn these people loose. And these things have already been challenged all the way up to the highest courts in the land. Yes, the Supreme Court. So if it's 20 million and you can get rid of several million bad people, and so, and a lot self-deport because they just think, the money's drying up. I don't want to be here. There's a chance of recession, whatever it is. Okay, well, then you've got a better starting point because you're stopping the people coming in. It's a net positive through takeaway. But common sense, Democrats don't even want one, no matter how bad they are. And that's why you can't have a conversation with somebody who lives in a world of emotion and lies, who's willing to say, I'd rather keep this guy here from Trente Agua as a badge of courage and deport Elon Musk, an American citizen who has done a lot for the world, because that is my badge of courage. Bunch of asshats. I'm the show, grab the podcast. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump giving the big three automakers, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, a 1-month exemption on tariffs on imported vehicles from Mexico and Canada. in order to not put them in a financial disadvantage under the trade deal he forged in his first term. All other reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd. Meanwhile, at the White House press briefing, Karen Travers.
President Trump said in his address to Congress he's fighting to make America affordable again, and he promised as a candidate to bring down prices on day one in office. But now the president's acknowledging his tariffs could have an impact, saying there will be a, quote, little disturbance. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked what Americans should expect, and she didn't have specifics.
The president told the truth, and he was realistic, and he level set with the American people. And I think, frankly, it's very refreshing, and everybody in this room should be very grateful that we have a president who tells the truth about the reality of the economic situation that we are in.
Elsewhere in our nation's capital, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan confronting the mayor of Denver, Mike Johnston, over Denver's sanctuary policy for illegal immigration after an ICE agent was assaulted.
Your policy, which says we're going to release him to, in your words, not mine, to the streets. They have to arrest him in the parking lot. They bring 6 officers when they could have had 1 or 2 just come in your facility, in the jail, and take the guy there. But you won't do it that way.
I've seen the video. I've reached out to ICE.
I've
offered to sit down and
facts
coordinate
too.
on strategies. If we need to make adjustments to what we do on releases, we'll do that.
This hearing comes as the House Oversight Committee launched an investigation in January into cities' policies that limit compliance with federal immigration enforcement officials. And here in Tennessee, today the legislature's Education Committee to consider a bill that would allow public schools to refuse to admit children who are undocumented. The bill challenges a 1982 Supreme Court ruling that said schools cannot consider a student's immigration status. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The Wellness Institute of Nashville was talking to some people last night, and they were talking, well, I like to get out and do this, that, and the other. My back hurts. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I got the big 47 going on right now in celebration of the guy we were there to see last night, President Trump, 47th president. And it's going on all year long. What is the big 47? Well, first of all, how about this non-surgical spinal decompression? It is amazing. So the spinal decompression machine heals the disc by opening the disc so the blood and nutrition can get to the area, heal the spine, disc, and nerve. It's awesome. So when you go see Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they're experts. They're the best around. They're going to build you a plan to get you up, moving, and grooving in 2025 with the big 47. And you're going to go in there. You're going to get a full consultation. They're going to look at you and make sure everything's okay. They're going to x-rays if they need them, the full exam. Bring your MRI if you have it to get you that plan ready because you're different than somebody else. So what can they do to get you moving, grooving, and feeling better for 2025? The Big 47 offer is going on right now. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. I like that. It's nice. So the Democrats are swinging and missing. We've talked about that. Why not go back to it again because it's kind of hilarious. But several of you reached out. We talked earlier about DJ Daniel. He is a young man, 13 years old, who has a compelling story, an amazing story. He was there last night. He was in the crowd, and it was awesome. By the way, it's not about politics, right? I want to say that this is not about politics. This is about a young man who is fighting terminal cancer. This is about a young man who is going through hell and then some. This is about a young man that anybody who is a human being, who has a heart that beats, can feel for and recognize. So before he was, if you will, called upon at the State of the Union, little s, because it really wasn't, but it was, last night, there was a video put out by the White House and him talking about who he is, how he got to this position, where at 13, he's looking death in the eyes.
What you want to know the craziest part? Because my mom bathed me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up, and then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing, and he said, "Stop playing with me." And I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow, and then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, "No, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight." Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. And I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
It was awesome. So he was there last night, and he's there because why not? Why not have a kid who's so inspiring? Why not have a kid who's there who is just an amazing force of strength? It's not about politics. It's not about right or left, black or white. It's about a human being, a child facing death every single day. 13 surgeries. It's about a family that has to probably come to the realization that not going to be here forever. I mean, I want him to be. And I think we need to pray for him as a country, as a people, as a species. But this was not about politics. It's about helping a kid have a dream come true and tell his story to America and the world.
Since that time, DJ...
And again, he's 13. It's when everybody realizes he's 13 years old. He is not, if you saw him, and you listen to him there, he sounds like he's 25. He does. He sounds like he's 25. And the maturity to say, I'm going to keep going until the gas runs out. And God calls me home.
Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And
800 times, I think, across the country, he has been sworn in to numerous stations, numerous groups, numerous organizations, numerous police forces and constables. He is that loved, and he loves police. So what could Trump have up his sleeve? It's about Trump, right? It's about getting the black vote. It's about a guy who recognizes this is something good. This is good for America. It's not about me. Not about Democrats. It's about a little boy.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Now, while that's going on, so Sean Curran, he's the new Secret Service guy. So he stands there and he gives him the badge, right? You know, comes that little black, it looks like a wallet. You open it up and it's got the information in on it, the little card, Secret Service, got a little badge in there. And he's in his little outfit. His dad's holding him up. And he looks over at Sean Curran and he hugs him. And imagine that. You're a guy who's standing some, this kid comes over and just gives you a big bear hug. That is humanity. That is kindness. That is not politics. It should never have been politics. But people can't wait to make it politics. Many Democrats didn't do much. Few stood up, few clapped. To act like this is some sort of resistance, this isn't about Trump. You made it about Trump. Well, because he made it about other people. No, this is about a little boy. This is about a 13-year-old little boy who faces death on a daily basis. This is about a 13-year-old little boy who's mature beyond his own years because of what he faces.
And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They have 5 months to live. I'm going to keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's going to call you home.
That is about a human being, a fellow human being who's struggling, who's fighting, who's trying to live every day as his best life. By the grace of God, none of us ever have to go through anything like that. None of us ever have to go through anything with our children. None of us ever have to go through anything like that at all. It's not about politics. Trump didn't say, oh, the reason he got cancer is because of Democrats. No, this was about him in his moment. And before anybody had a chance to say anything or do anything, Nicole Wallace from MSNBC, who is, by all accounts, an absolute clown show, sitting there with Rachel Maddow and the rest of the island of misfit liberal toys, says this.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ, and I hope he's alive for another,
First of all, you let yourself feel joy. Let's all step back. You let yourself feel joy. You should. If you don't feel joy, if you don't feel anything, you are an absolute insane person. If you can't feel for that kid. A couple of my buddies last night, Democrats, solid Democrats too, not loonies, but solid Democrats, California Democrats, said that was awesome. Man, that was great. And one of them wrote me today, and they go, what are these people doing? And I know their stuff. Well, somebody said, have you seen what they've done to him on TikTok? I know it's ridiculous. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But Nicole, if I was running MSNBC, first of all, I would tell everybody, we're done. I'm closing it. Turn it into an ice cream shop.
95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
The look on some of the people there, including I think it was Rachel Maddow, who looked like, as I said earlier, Mike Myers when Kanye was like, and George Bush hates black people, where it's like, and he just starts, she's like rolling the chair back. What were you thinking? You brought that up? A moment? First of all, you should never even talk about outside and say, it was an amazing moment. It was a sweet moment. We should all pray for him. Then you move on and go talk your gibberish to the 8 people that are watching your show, of which 5 are cats. At least they identify as cats. And you had the audacity to say that. It's repugnant. If I was there and Biden had somebody like that, hell yeah, I'm clapping. Hell yeah, I'm standing up. Hell yeah, because it's not about politics. Just because Trump says something doesn't mean it's bad. Just because Trump says something and brings this up doesn't mean it's bad. I even heard, and I can't even play it because there's some cursed words in it, from Maxine Waters talking about, well, he focused too much on the victims, essentially. It's mind-boggling. But then when you watch that, you go, this is why Trump. When you watch that, you say, this is why Trump. And this is why you guys are continuing to fail over and over again. You have zero way to get back because you're lost. You're rudderless. You've got nothing in front of you.
It is, I have to say, you can really sense, John King, you can really sense Republicans with a pep in their step and Democrats rather demoralized. I mean, understandably so, given the fact that Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, not to mention a conservative lean on the U.S. Supreme Court. But beyond that, even when Republicans are out of power, you sense like an energy quite often when Democrats are controlling things. The Democrats, not to be cliche about it, but they are in disarray. They do not know how to be the opposition force.
They don't. Because they don't have an answer for anything. They have zero answer. It's not hard. Draw your roadmap. It's not hard to get back on the horse, but you won't do it because you placate activists that are insane. You placate the tiny few that make a loud noise on the internet. You placate insane ideas that only people of academia and uber progressive would buy into. You placate and you bow down to just the most ridiculous things rather than treating everybody the exact same way and moving on with life. You fail over and over again. And everything you try to do. Yesterday, we heard a whole bunch. We're like, well, we're not quite sure how we're going to protest, right? We're not sure what we're going to do to protest. I mean, maybe we're going to try this. Maybe we're going to try that. We're not sure what we're going to do to protest. And I'm like, just go. Then come out afterwards. Go to the internet. And say, all right, this is what I think. But instead, they did stupid things like the bingo. Oh, if you didn't see the bingo cards, which was hilarious because there's memes everywhere.
How they gonna snatch it back, Michael, when they holding up bingo or auction signs?
I was gonna say, thank you, Simone.
Can we talk about it?
The bingo signs were killing me. I don't know who thought up the bingo signs, but they should be fired.
Michael, this is an indictment, in my opinion, on the Democratic leadership.
Absolutely. What do you say to that, sir?
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
You just say bingo. Bingo! How fun!
Yeah, they're not fun. Anything but. Reach out to us across all our social media at Chad Benson Show. Check out, of course, the YouTube. We got rolling and rocking here, as well as Twitch. Matt's coming up straight ahead. We're going to see what his hair looks like today in the light. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Radio it is, baby. He was there last night.
I was. You were.
We were all there. You
were all
came with a full mane and you left.
With I don't know what happened.
I'm not quite sure.
I'm not quite sure what happened on the hair front.
I feel
We're going
like
to explore it
some
at some
people got to him and gave him suggestions of which he took.
So, according to those entities, like he claimed that my wife told him what to do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And she says, well, I didn't tell him to do that.
Was it somebody he thought was your wife?
Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps there was some sort of plant in the audience. I don't know.
Because I know there were several women that were like, cut your hair like this and cut your hair like that.
Correct. I dig that. I understand it. So
I'm thinking, was it somebody in the audience that he thought, oh, that must be his wife?
No, because he met her. So I don't know. But one way or the other, we'll explore what perhaps happened and invite those of you on the talk television side of things to weigh in on what you think.
People are asking, have you seen all the people on TV? They have the ash today.
Oh, yeah. It's Ash Wednesday.
It's Ash Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Because now looking at it, you wouldn't tell that you had your hair cut.
Well, so he for those who aren't watching on television, he cut down the sides. He buzzed the sides. And he cut a little length off the back, I think 1 or 2 inches off the back, and then and kind of thinned it out a little bit in the back, and that's pretty much it. And then it was like we were halfway through the haircut, and my man Noah Peters, I'm not knocking him. It was like he said, you know what, we're done here. Let's just be finished.
Yeah, was he uncomfortable doing it on stage?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't assume he's the singing barber. He had a
I didn't
residency.
get there for the singing.
Well, no, he didn't sing. So, and that's the thing is that I don't know that. I think some people expected him to sing. I didn't know that we were going to have him sing. I didn't know what he wanted to do, and so I gave him the mic. I gave him an opportunity to sing. He didn't sing, so he didn't sing. That was up to him.
I wanted him to sing. I thought that was the whole point.
I mean, if he sings like he cut my hair, he'd get like halfway through and then just stop.
That's it.
That's a joke. No, if you're listening.
He travels around, right?
No,
That's what he does?
Yeah, I mean, he's from Benton, Tennessee, a little bitty town in Tennessee. He travels around. He had a residency at the Grand Ole Opry House.
Really?
Where he would be the resident barber for acts that came in. Hey, do you need your hair trimmed up? You need to cut a little bit. You need to make it nice and neat before you go on stage. I'm your boy.
Oh, that's cool.
So he had that for a year. I don't know if that's still going on. So, I mean, he's a great guy, young guy. He was happy to be there. We were happy to have him. And what a great event.
That was a great event.
It's always good to see it's always good to see the folks.
What'd you think of the speech? I told Chris I liked the speech. A little long for me, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for me, I don't mind the length of the speech as long as we're going from one point to another point to another point, as long as we're making points, moving along, talking about issues that matter to Americans. The entire pomp and circumstance of the sit down, stand up, fight, and we're going to applaud, we're not going to applaud, we're going to hold up signs, we're not going to hold up signs. I'm a little bit over it because you're wasting my time.
Yeah. Even, and again, I love what, a lot of what he had to say. Sometimes I'd like him to go in, everybody's like, he needs to go more in detail. America doesn't do detail. We barely do reading. So, he's going to go as deep as he needs to get. I think it could have been 45 minutes to an hour.
Well, I think they've done this in the past. I would love to see, and I'm not seeing it for this one, an analysis of how long of the 90, I think it was 99 minutes, 100 minutes, say an hour and 40 minutes, how much of that was applause and break in the speech, because you can break that down, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would be willing to bet you 20 minutes, if not more.
Yeah. Still too long for me. You do a solid 45. I wish somebody come in and go, look, things are going okay. They're going to be a little bit better. It's going to be dicey for a while. We're going to have to keep our head on a swivel, though, when it comes to certain things. And quite frankly, we're going to have to work harder to get some of this debt down. You guys know that. It's not personal. It's just life. Thank you very much. Here's the rest of the speech. Good night now.
Pitching coach from Bull Durham, right?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on out here? Well, he's breathing out of his eyelids, and nobody knows what to get Jenny for their wedding, and we got to get the curse off Jose's glove. And he just says, well, candlesticks are always nice. That's a nice gift. See where they were registered. All right, let's go, too.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Like, that's it. I mean, it's because you could, because Congress, you have to do this. This is something that's mandated. But you can also just send in the the speech.
You just send it in. Thomas Jefferson. I looked this up yesterday. I did not know this until yesterday. Thomas Jefferson said, I'm not doing here it is.
Man after my own heart.
Here's the speech.
Somebody wrote something. I think some of these are my ideas. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, and take care. There's the State of the Union. Congratulations.
I got some ladies over here.
See you later. And then and it was hit or miss until I think Woodrow Wilson really started the performative nature of it. And then, of course, when television starts, then it's off to the races.
Because television changed a lot. Internet has changed even more. What are you chatting about today?
We will discuss that. We'll talk about last night a little bit. We'll talk some Tennessee politics as well. We've got our good friend Brink Fiddler coming on to talk about an event on security and safety in the workplace and in places where people gather. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. Senator Bill Haggerty will swing by at 4:35.
Right on. You guys have a good one. I'll be back on Monday. Brian's filling in for the next couple of days. I'm off to California for a wedding. My little sister's getting married, and God bless her. Apparently, she wants us all there. So there's that thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Are you going to take a present?
Oh, yeah. Us showing up is the present. All right. You guys have a good one. We'll do it again next week. Matt Sredhead, Chad Benson Show.